Welcome to the first 22 episode of The Social Spreader. You know, if you remember, a couple of episodes ago, I had hinted at the kind of the tightrope act that this is sometimes, where I want to talk about certain things that are important, but man, they're heavy and right now they're just kind of harsh, kind of dark, and just really how challenging that is to kind of talk about sports and try to talk about something in regard to Vegas, something in regard to a sports book, something in regard to anything really that has to do with trying to put a little extra money in your pocket. That's really the ultimate outcome, I guess, if you will, of me trying to do this. Share the wealth of knowledge, I guess, and luck that I have, because there's no one thing that you can research that I can't. It's just sometimes you flip a coin in your own head with stats and instincts and feelings, and hopefully you land on the right side. And I try to find edges and leans and fades, and trying to find a way to get some kind of smile on anybody's face, especially right now. And as I said before, a couple episodes ago, I hinted at how hard this is. And I want to try to be, to kind of show more of me without really pulling back the whole curtain. I completely understand that as history has shown, being vulnerable on the internet is usually not a very wise idea. People tend to not have the sympathy and the empathy that one might be hoping for when that happens. But I want to try to really, there's certain things that I'm going to keep. The weekly reflections into hell is something I've gotten some positive feedback on, just to go through the absolutely unbelievable headlines that are actual headlines and kind of make a slapstick, or is that the word, tongue-in-cheek joke in regard to just how absolutely odd and utterly bizarre some of these headlines that are headlines that are headlines. Anyway, so one of the things that I'm gonna try to do more of this year, and I didn't do a year in review. I started in October. I don't generally do forecasts. I don't, as I said before, I don't do any future bets, and so my expectations are set before I go into any season or any year, whether it's sports gambling, whether it's personally, whether it's pretty much any kind of any sort of approach that you're trying to take in all the facets of your life. And look at me now. I'm starting to monologue. I guess that's really all this is I'm just a show that's only me, and left to my own devices, I have to talk to myself and all the six other voices in my head. Anyway, one of the things, though, that I did want to do going into this year is really try to, light up the darkness, as I say. Bob Marley, I love sorry, to say I love it is a little bit harsh. The fascinating story of when he was scheduled to perform at a peace rally, and 2 days before, a man came to his apartment and simply shot him because he didn't want him to be on a stage at a peace rally singing his music and singing his songs to try to uplift people, which is ultimately what I'm trying to do with my picks, and I'm going to try to do it now more on the other half of the podcast. If I can make you happy and give you some, as I said, some leans, some edges, and some fades, then that's a good thing. And I guess I want to be a reprieve. I want to be release. I want to be relief from the shit. And as much as we're going to kind of jump in together for just a little bit, but then we'll come out of the shit, I'm going to try to keep less shit on you and me. And so, one of the things that I wanted to talk about, and this is kind of pulling the curtain back, but not completely. One of the things that I always think everybody should really reanalyze going into a new year is self-care. Lest we forget that we are living through a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic, and there's also this ravaging upper respiratory virus that is killing a lot of people. But if you are over the age of 30 and you've lived through the worst time in this country's history, There's nothing united about us. We can't agree on anything. And so, if your Thanksgiving wasn't very thankful, if your holidays weren't as cheery as they have been, or if your New Year's wasn't a very happy New Year, as someone who has really gone to the depths and really pulled himself out, give yourself a break. Go easy on yourself. Keep those things. Don't concentrate on them, but keep it in mind. You're doing great, and it's going to continue into this year. And one of the reasons why I think that, half joke, half honest, is because we have nowhere to go except up. And one of the things that I challenge you to do in the first quarter of this year is try something new. And I mean anything new for self-care, be it mentally, physically. Choose one of those two and try something new. In 2015, 2016, this was before I got married. I got married September of 2016. I was going through a lot of shit with life, a lot of shit with my parents. And I saw a therapist. I simply did a search and found a therapist. And with all the shit that I was, going through in life with career and with my parents, all of which came to a huge culmination in the last 18 months, seeing my therapist literally changed and saved my life. I had a very hard childhood with a very traumatic experience when I was 8. And if you were someone who was carrying a lot of pain, a lot of resentment, a lot of self-doubt, a lot of animosity, maybe even anger, the way that I saw it and the way that it helped me was talking to someone gives you the chance to put that weight completely down, if only for an hour. If only for an hour you get to lay down on a couch, drop off the weight on your shoulders right next to it, lay there, and just hash some shit out. And for me, that was very liberating. It was something that was very useful for me in my psyche in terms of how I approach life and how I approach pretty much everything now. And ironically, that's kind of when my hot streak and my success in sports gambling started to go up. And what I've always felt that it did, as I said, to put the weight down if only for an hour, but it also gives you... It allows you to find a different place to store it. It gives you a different way to look at it, a different way to cope with it. A grudge only hurts the person who carries it. And forgiveness isn't telling the person who hurt you, it's okay that you hurt me. It's allowing you to let go of the pain. There's liberation in forgiveness, and I get it. Forgiveness is hard, and it's something that's complicated. It's never easy, but there are programs out there right now that will allow you to speak with someone, if only through Zoom. One of the things that I've always tried to preach is I'm a big believer in the connection that the mind has with the body as it pertains to happiness. Exercise literally creates chemicals that make us happy, even if it's only a half-hour walk. I've always kind of had odd aspirations of being a personal trainer, but I also want to try to be like more of a guidance counselor, but in a perfect world, I would be going to school to get my degree in psychology and become some sort of a mental health professional. And I'm not saying that if you don't exercise, you'll be an unhappy person. What I'm saying is that I believe in my heart that happiness is easier to achieve if you feel good about your physical health, if you feel confident when you're naked, if you feel like you're doing something positive for your body. You only get one of them. And so, as someone who tried something new, because I believe the Webster's definition of insanity is doing the same things over and over again and expecting a different result. Probably hence why I'm doing a little bit of a transition. I urge you to research in network with healthcare. I don't want to talk about healthcare either, but through your work or through your school, through anything, there's no shame in it. And for anybody who thinks that there is, from the experiences that I have, you need to talk to somebody the most, because no one can convince me that having open communication with someone who is trained to help you, I guess, perceive life, accept life, digest life, and they genuinely want to help. They've dedicated their life's work to it. I think one of the fears that a lot of people have is they're afraid of what they might say. And that's a good thing, because if you can't be honest with yourself, and this is all that it really is, when you really kind of dissect it, it's being honest with yourself about who you are, who your parents are, who your family is, not even coming to terms, but accepting it. You don't have not everybody has to understand you, but if they want to be in your life and you want them as a friend, they at least have to accept you. And there is, as I have said before, there's liberation in forgiveness. There's liberation in honesty, and to sit down with someone who is not only has the desire to help you, but also has the education and, I guess, the tutelage and more or less the I guess, yeah, I mean, just the desire and will to help somebody, and the qualifying factors that it takes to be a mental health professional. So that would be the first thing that I would urge everybody to do. The millions and millions of droves of people that are listening to me. Take care of yourself, and choose either physical or mental, but really do it, because you will be very happy with the results. The way that I look at it, doing something physical to help your physical health or to help your mental health, it won't hurt you. There's literally not a downside. And if you're not going to hurt yourself working out, you might be sore, but you're not going to hurt yourself. And it's certainly not going to hurt to talk to somebody to get some weight off your shoulders, and to get some kind of try to clear out some of the clouds from your consciousness, because it's just been such a tough 18 months. So I hope everybody, trash or treasure, but if you're going to take it from somebody who was very low and tried something new, and the therapist worked for me, hey, my only hope is that it can hope. My only hope is that it can hope. Yes, we don't do editing here. My only hope is that it can help you too. Okay? Let's do some lines. So, what's really interesting right now, and I mean this in all honesty, there are literally 3 teams that I wager on right now in the association. The Warriors, obviously. Oklahoma City is sneaky good against the spread, and I believe they're the number 1 team in the NBA right now against the spread. And I never thought I'd say this, but it had a lot to do with Ricky Rubio. Are the Cleveland bleeping Cavaliers, and those are the only 3 teams that I wager on. And essentially, at this point, I think they've proven who they are. They are, and fuck, Clay hasn't even returned yet, which is why I am repping the yellow Golden State Warriors here today, because Clay's coming back on Sunday. So those are really the only 3 that I would recommend. When it comes to hockey, not in the good way, I've really been getting pucked. It's been a tough year in hockey. It's been very, very hard. And now cancellations and all that stuff. So cancellations brings me to my next point. College hoops. It's really the only consistent thing that we got, and it's consistent in its inconsistency. So right now, tonight, There are one, two, three, and I'm recording this at 3:10 Colorado time. So 3:10 Mountain Time. There are there are 6 games that have either been, there was 5 games that have been postponed, and then one was a forfeit. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 games that are on. And what's more important now than ever is finding that value. And the value tonight is with Towson against Drexel. Towson, for me, has been an ATM machine. They are a cash cow. This is one of the hottest 13 game starts that I've ever seen against the spread. They are 9-4 straight up, and they're 11-2 against the spread. They are 2.5-point favorites on the road today at Drexel. I don't see any reason why you shouldn't. Drexel is 5-5. They haven't played anybody really of worthy mentioning. And Towson kept up with Ohio State, and Drexel got blitzed by Abilene Christian, another team that I want you to look at as well. So I think a good edge tonight is going to be Towson on the road. The other game that there's technically 5 games tonight that I wanted to look at. University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley, Vaqueros. They are at the Sam Houston Bearcats with a K. Wow. Okay. UT Rio Grande is 5-5 against the spread. They're 5-7 overall. They've lost 4 out of their last 5, and they don't look like they're a very good team. Sam Houston is 5-8 straight up, but they're 7-4 against the spread, and they have won 3 out of their last 4. I think that's a good lean. I know it's a weird game, but it's 8 points, and you get 4 points for being at home. And you're telling me I get a 7-4 team against the spread at home to technically only be 4 points better. So that's what I'm going to go with. I'm gonna lean Sam Houston. The other one that I was on earlier this year, and we took some trips, and I kind of lost track, but I think Washington is really horrible. And one of the greatest things about wagering in college, be it college football, well, less college football, more college hoops, is that when a team sucks, they suck. It's rare after the new year does a team somehow do some kind of a U-turn. And Washington is 5-5, but they're 3-7 against the spread. They started the year 0-4 against the spread, and I know that because I had them. Because I thought they sucked. And they're playing at Arizona tonight, and this one could get out of hand, and it could get out of hand really bad. I'm talking 90-60. And so each team has had some time off, but Washington limps in here. They beat Seattle by 8. That's their most impressive win for the last, 6 weeks. Whereas Arizona went to Tennessee and played them tough, and that is a tough place. They beat Wyoming. They beat Illinois. And so, look, the spread's 25. I know that that's a lot of points to lay. However, this is a mismatch, and this is a good team versus a very, very bad team. So that would be my lean. The other one here, I am leaning towards Arizona to take them to the woodshed, as they say. When did that saying become a thing? Anyway, the last 2 games to me are intriguing. Okay, Maryland at Iowa. Iowa's favored by 9. That's a heavy number, and Maryland's 8-4, Iowa's 10-3, and each of them are winless in the conference. But here's where I'm at. Okay, good teams win, great teams cover, and I'm not calling either of these 2 teams great. But Maryland's 8-4, but they're 4-8 against the spread. They don't cover a lot. And meanwhile, Iowa's 9-4 against the spread, and I've always had the the idea that nobody likes going to Iowa City in January, just like no one likes going to Ames in January. And so I do think just because these are two teams on opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of wins and losses against the spread, I would probably look at Iowa here. And again, they're at home, and come on. Iowa City, January. Let's go Hawkeyes. So, the other one is really, and this one's fun, okay? The Texas Southern Tigers. They're 2-7. Hold on a second. The Southern Jaguars. So we got a big cat fight. The Southern Jaguars are 6-7, okay? To me, this is the most interesting game on tonight. A combined 8-9. I'm sorry. A combined 8-14, okay? And here's why. Texas Southern, they've won 2 games. They're 2-7. They're 7-2 against the spread. The Southern Jaguars, 6-7. Okay, they're 8-3 against the spread, and Southern is a 2-point favorite. I mean, this thing is essentially a coin flip. Now, why am I telling you this? Do I really have an edge between Texas Southern and the Southern Jaguars? No, but keep these two teams in your view over the next 8 weeks, because 7-2 against the spread, 8-3, Vegas hasn't figured them out yet, and that's really all that we're trying to do here. Is we're trying to find ways to feel confident about a flip of a coin, because this shit is hard. I added up 2 units over it's the third, so 2 units over the last month. Had a good time when I went to the Bahamas. Thank you to my wife for all of her continued success and how great she is at her job. Yeah, Texas Southern and the Southern Jaguars are the most intriguing matchup that I've seen, and these are a combined 15-5 against the spread. So, good luck with your bets. I hope everything starts out this year really well. We're going to be on the uptick here from this point on. So, once again, good luck with your bets.